I saw that Bitcoin had recently shattered its all-time high, cresting a phenomenal $73,000 before cooling off and settling around the $63,000 mark. That dip, that slight retraction after a massive surge, felt like an invitation. It seemed like the perfect entry point, a chance to get in before the next explosive leg up. This wasn't my first rodeo, though my last one had ended with me getting thrown hard. Back in 2021 or 2022, I had dipped my toes into the crypto waters with about $4,000. I had chosen an exchange called Voyager, which, in a dramatic and all-too-common crypto story, went completely bankrupt. For the next few years, I received trickles of money back from the bankruptcy proceedings, a constant, painful reminder of my first foray into this volatile world. My initiation into crypto was a trial by fire, losing a significant chunk of my investment to a fraudulent exchange after getting in at the market top. You would think I had learned my lesson. The goal this time was explicitly not to get in at the top. But as fate would have it, in my eagerness and hubris, I repeated the same mistake, just in a different way. The story of my second crypto journey is one of impatience, greed, and the seductive brainwashing of a bull market. In April 2024, with $50,000 wired and ready, I jumped back in. But I didn't play it safe. Bitcoin, the relatively stable king of crypto, seemed too slow. The real gains, the life-changing multiples, were in the altcoins, the thousands of other cryptocurrencies that follow in Bitcoin's wake. My portfolio was a collection of promising, yet inherently riskier assets. I was invested in Avalanche AVAX, a fast-growing blockchain platform, Internet Computer ICP, a project with ambitious goals to decentralize the Internet, and Render RNDR, a token powering a distributed network for graphics processing. These weren't speculative gambles in the traditional sense, but they were far more volatile than Bitcoin. When Bitcoin catches a cold, these altcoins get pneumonia. My initial $50,000 investment shriveled. By the time July and August rolled around, I was looking at a balance of around $24,000. I was down more than half, and the dream of a down payment on a house was evaporating before my eyes. The financial loss was agonizing, but the psychological toll was worse. Crypto became an obsession. I have a cash-flowing business, an Amazon enterprise I built from the ground up that was bringing in a few $1,000s a month. It didn't require my constant attention to run, which in this case was a curse. It freed up all my time and mental energy to be consumed by the crypto markets. I was glued to my screen, drowning in crypto Twitter, now X, a relentless fire hose of news, speculation, fear, and hype. I was learning the ins and outs of the industry, but it was like learning to swim in a tsunami. My days were a blur of charts, graphs, and the endless scroll of opinions from anonymous accounts with cartoon avatars. I was spending far too much time, focus, and energy on this single, failing endeavor. Every day I'd wake up and check my portfolio with a knot in my stomach, wondering, what's going on? The prevailing narrative had been so certain, so confident. Yet my reality was a sea of red. To add insult to injury, the traditional stock market was on a tear. I had sold shares of Nvidia to free up some of my initial capital, and now I was watching in horror as it continued to pump, reaching one new high after another. It was a bitter pill to swallow. I had taken my money out of a surging market and poured it into a sinking one. The frustration was immense. I had a 6-month lease on my apartment, and my plan had been so simple, so elegant. Put the $50,000 in crypto, watch it effortlessly balloon to $100,000 or $150,000, and then cash out to buy a house. Now that plan looked like a fantasy, and that is precisely what happened. The period from April to about August was brutal. Instead of the parabolic surge I had anticipated, the market turned sour. Bitcoin, the tide that lifts all boats, began to recede, dropping all the way to below $50,000. My altcoins didn't just dip, they plummeted into the gutter. Coins like AVAX, ICP, and RNDR took 50% haircuts, and my portfolio bled out in sympathy. Despite the massive losses, I held on. I had faith, or perhaps it was just stubbornness, that the market would eventually turn around. And it did. The sentiment began to shift, slowly at first, and then with gathering momentum. The election of Donald Trump, who had styled himself as the crypto president, seemed to inject a fresh wave of optimism into the market. Prices began to climb. Bitcoin started its legendary march towards $100,000. Ironically, this is precisely when I began to make my most catastrophic mistakes. For nearly 6 months, from April to the cusp of November, I had been putting an incredible amount of time and energy into my crypto investment, and it had gone nowhere but down. I was impatient. The slow recovery wasn't enough. I had been worn down by the stress and the frustration, and my decision-making was compromised. I was no longer an investor. I was a gambler chasing my losses. I ventured deeper into the crypto rabbit hole, into the shadowy, high-stakes corners of the community. I learned about meme coins and leverage trading. Leverage trading is essentially borrowing money to amplify your bets. A 3x or 4x leverage means that for every dollar your investment goes up, you make 3 or 4. But it also means that for every dollar it goes down, you lose 3 or 4. It's a way to make a lot of money very quickly, but it's an even faster way to lose everything if you're not disciplined and knowledgeable. I started to dabble, my risk tolerance dangerously eroded by months of losses. My most recent and spectacular failure, however, was in the world of meme coins. I saw these tokens, often based on internet jokes or cultural trends, exploding in value overnight. People were turning a few $100s into hundreds of thousands. The temptation was overwhelming. I decided to take about $10,000 from some of my recovering altcoin positions, coins that were finally in the green, and play in the meme coin casino. If you're deep in the crypto world, you'll know the tools of the trade. A phantom wallet for the Solana blockchain, DEX screener to watch the real-time charts of thousands of obscure tokens, and a constant connection to X and Telegram to catch the latest alpha. Long story short, I started moving more and more of my money into my phantom wallet. I sold my recovering AVAX and ICP, converting them to Solana, the primary currency for this new, wilder ecosystem. I was taking small losses on my long-term holds, telling myself I would make it all back in a single, brilliant meme coin trade. I was chasing quick gains, blinded by the volatility. These altcoins I had held were risky, but meme coins are on another level entirely. You can indeed make a 3x return in a few hours, but you can also be rug pulled, where the creators of the coin abandon the project and run away with all the investors' money in a matter of seconds. I now know this from bitter experience. I went from having about $45,000 at that time down to a terrifying $13,000 as I made a series of bad trades and fell for a few scams. The stress was unbearable. I was having panic attacks, my anxiety spiking with every tick of the chart. I was watching my nest egg, the sum of my financial discipline, fluctuate by tens of thousands of dollars in a single day. I stopped sleeping, staying up all night staring at DEX screener, hopping from one coin to another, caught in a vicious cycle of hope and despair. My health was deteriorating rapidly. I was sleep-deprived, irritable, and my life had narrowed to the four corners of my computer screen. Then a stroke of luck, or so it seemed. I stumbled upon a coin called Mustard, a meme based on a popular new Kendrick Lamar song. It was catching on, and I got in at the right time. In a dizzying, adrenaline-fueled ride, I turned that harrowing $13,000 back into $43,000. The relief was intoxicating. I felt like a genius. I had stared into the abyss and clawed my way back. Oh my gosh, I thought, this is great. I got most of my money back. This is where the story should have ended. I should have taken that win, moved the money back to Bitcoin or my original altcoins, and walked away from the meme coin casino forever. But I didn't. Greed and a newfound sense of invincibility took over. At this point, I had also received another check from my business in September and had foolishly put another $10,000 into crypto. At my peak, I had about $65,000 in the market. If I can just get back to $60,000, I told myself, I'll put it all back into the safer altcoins and just ride out the next 2 months of this bull market. The market was now undeniably in a full-blown frenzy, and my original plan, had I stuck to it, would have been paying off handsomely. But I made a fatal compromise. Okay, I rationalized, I'll be smart about this. I'll hold $30,000 in Solana. It's a solid coin. It will go up a bit, but it won't do anything crazy. And I'll let the remaining $10,000 ride on this Mustard meme coin. But the Mustard meme started to fade. The coin's momentum stalled and its value began to drop. My profits were slipping away, and that old panic started to creep back in. And then I made the single worst financial decision of my life. In a moment of sheer, unadulterated stupidity, I abandoned all strategy and risk management. I saw another coin, a brand new token with a tiny $5 million market cap that had just launched 2 days prior. It was the riskiest of the risky, a pure gamble, and I went all in. I took my safe $30,000 in Solana and poured it, along with the rest of my meme coin holdings, into this one unknown coin. I went to bed that night with my entire crypto future riding on a lottery ticket. I woke up the next morning, my heart pounding as I reached for my phone. The balance was around $10,000, a massive loss, but maybe it could recover. I watched the chart for an hour. It dropped to $5,000. A few hours later, it was at $2,000, and that's when the cold, hard reality finally set in. There was no coming back from this. I was not going to turn $2,000 back into $50,000. This was it. This was the end of the road. Over the past few weeks, I've been licking my wounds, trying to process the sheer scale of my failure. What makes it sting so much more is what has happened in the broader market since my implosion. The bull run I had been so patiently waiting for 6 long months has finally taken off with a vengeance. Bitcoin has smashed through the $100,000 barrier. And those altcoins I held for half a year, the ones I sold at a loss to chase meme coin dreams. They are making 50%, 100%, even 200% gains. The irony is excruciating. The day after I sold one of my long-held coins to convert it into Solana, and then into that fateful meme coin, it shot up 50%. It's a constant, brutal reminder of what could have been. If I had simply done nothing, if I had just let that $65,000 sit, it would likely be worth well over $100,000 by now. That would have put me so much closer to my goal of buying a house. Instead, I'm left with practically nothing. But as painful as this experience has been, it has been an invaluable, albeit expensive, lesson. I was getting way too fixated on the money. I had stopped working on my business, stopped creating, stopped building anything of value. I was just trying to multiply money, and I learned that crypto, for all its potential, is not a magic money machine. It's not good or bad. It's a tool, and a dangerous one in the wrong hands. I lost a lot of money, but I'm learning a lot. I will definitely be back in the crypto market in the next cycle in a few years, but my approach will be fundamentally different. The experience, especially at the end with the meme coin trading, was destroying my life in a very real way. The panic attacks, the sleep deprivation, the constant chase, it wasn't healthy. I've learned that trying to chase a 5x or 10x return is almost always a losing game because the risk is exponentially higher. I could have put all my money into Bitcoin and likely gotten a 2x return, turning my $60,000 into $120,000. In any other financial market, a 100% return in a year is an insane, life-changing achievement. But the crypto community can brainwash you. You see other coins going up thousands of percent, and your own 2x or 3x feels like a failure. It breeds a toxic greed and a desire for more. It robs you of your patience. I just should have had more patience. I should have let it play out. I got my mom and brother into crypto back in May, just small amounts, a few $1,000s of what they could afford to lose. They've just been going on with their lives, not checking the charts every 5 minutes. And now they're up a good few $1,000s on their investments. They let their money work for them while they focused on their own lives. For me, I let crypto become my entire life, and that was my biggest mistake. So this is a pretty big lesson to learn at 24. I just wanted to share this story, to be authentic and vulnerable and raw, because I wish there were more videos like this out there. Everybody wants to talk about their wins, how they made $1 million in crypto, and how you can too. Nobody wants to talk about the devastating losses, the dark side of this industry. I hope that if you're going through something similar, or if you just find this story interesting, that it helps you in some way. It's been a shitty last few weeks. I'm out here in South Carolina trying to figure out my next move. I miss Florida, but who knows what life has in store for me. I have to go from here. I have a lovely girlfriend and a dog. I'm living a bit more paycheck to paycheck now, and I'm not going to be able to buy a house anytime soon, which really sucks. But life goes on. Every day is a fresh start. I have oxygen in my lungs. I've dealt with health issues in the past, so just to be healthy, to be able to talk to this camera with the sunshine on my face, I am incredibly grateful and blessed. Life is all about learning lessons. I'm young. To be able to make that much money and then lose it all is a painful but powerful experience. I'm going to get back on my feet. Things will be okay. It definitely hurts to see Bitcoin breaking through all-time highs, to watch the $100K celebration from the sidelines after waiting for so long. Being in the community is fun, and there is so much incredible innovation happening. Crypto can absolutely change your life, but it can change it in negative ways just as fast as it can in positive ways. It does offer a potential way out of the money matrix of a traditional 9 to 5, but you have to be so smart and so careful because it is an incredibly risky arena. Next cycle, I'll be able to make better decisions. Just like last cycle when I learned not to get in at the top, this time I got in at a middle range, and when things were dumping, I panicked. I've learned about FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and how it can manipulate your decisions. Next time, I'll be ready. I'll get in during the bear market lows, I'll dollar-cost average into Bitcoin and other solid projects, and I will just ride it out. I am a true believer in the future of crypto and Bitcoin, but I should have been more patient. I should have just taken some deep breaths and not tried to be so greedy. Please leave a like and your thoughts in the comments. Click subscribe for more episodes like this.